Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Daily Practice with Nikhil. And today we are going to be tackling the dynamic duo that can feel like the two peas in the pod. No pun intended. These are the things which are holding us back sometimes from either starting, finishing, or even enjoying the process of our work and creative lives. I am talking about perfectionism and procrastination. Most of us have danced around these two things a lot. We might think of them as separate issues. One is about being meticulous and careful and planned, and the other one is like being lazy. But often they are deeply interconnected, fueling each other in this frustrating cycle. So today we are going to be pulling back the curtain in this relationship. So we'll explore why these two show up together so frequently and how to understand the healthy versus unhealthy aspects. And the most importantly, how we can equip ourselves with practical, kind, and constructive strategies to break free from their grip, the perfectionism and procrastination grip, and reclaiming your energy and momentum in whatever it is that you would like to do in life. So, this isn't about judging ourselves for having these tendencies, but about understanding them with compassion and learning how to navigate this myriad of different things that we overcome, and how we can move forward with courage and create a separate space for genuine progress and wellness. So let's lean in and explore this fascinating pair. So let's start by defining some of the terms. So you may have your own definitions, and I invite you to take a note and write down what it is that you mean by perfectionism and what it means to understand procrastination. So maybe you can just take a moment, simply close your eyes, and what comes to mind when it comes to perfectionism and procrastination. But perfectionism in its healthy form, it's as simple as striving for excellence, having high standards, and paying attention to detail. It can drive quality and lead to impressive results. Perfectionism is considered in marvels of the world, like building the International Space Station. It requires a lot of attention to detail, high standards, and excellence. But there is this unhealthy aspect of perfectionism as quite different. It's characterized by unrealistic high standards coupled with very crucial the critical self-evaluations, is driven by fear of making mistakes, a belief that anything less than perfect is a failure, and often ties our self-worth to our performance and output. And this kind of perfectionism isn't about healthy striving, it's about rigidity, anxiety, and fear. And then there is procrastination, often confused with laziness. Laziness implies an unwillingness to act. Procrastination is often a delay in starting or completing a task, despite knowing there will likely be negative consequences. It's frequently an emotional regulation issue. We avoid the task because starting it or thinking about it brings up uncomfortable feelings like fear, failure, judgment, or even success. It can bring up anxiety, frustration, or overwhelm. So we delay the task. We get temporary relief from those feelings. That's what happens when we know we have to do something and the meeting is cancelled. We feel a sense of, that is exactly what happens and we get used to that feeling. And then when we have to do the thing we have to do, we procrastinate. We create our own mental models to stop that from happening. Now, here's where the plot kind of thickens, and we see these powerful connections. This unhealthy perfectionism is one of the biggest drivers of procrastination. Think about it. If you have an internal standard, or a task is to be done with absolute perfection and anything else feels like failure, where do you even begin? The gap between where you are now, not having started, and the impossibly perfect or finished product feels so wide, daunting, and frankly terrifying. The fear of not meeting this sky high standard, of making a mistake or being judged or imperfection, becomes so intense that the easiest way is to simply avoid it and not to start, or to delay starting, or to get stuck endlessly planning and researching without ever doing anything. And procrastination becomes the escape from the anxiety generated by unhealthy perfectionism. We tell ourselves things like, I'm not ready yet. I need more information. I'll do it when I have more time, or feel more inspired, or everything is perfect. If I don't start, I can't fail. And this cycle looks something like this: high standards, perfectionism, fear of not meeting standards, then you have the emotional discomfort, then you start to avoid things, and then there is an increased anxiety and guilt, and more avoidance. It's exhausting, and then either you jump and do something which you probably shouldn't have, or you end up exhausting yourself. And understanding this link between unhealthy perfectionism and procrastination is powerful, because it shows procrastination isn't necessarily a problem of discipline. It is a coping mechanism, albeit a self sabotaging one, for the anxiety rooted in perfectionism. So, how do we break free from this dynamic duo and the influence it has on our lives? Again, all things mindful here, it starts with awareness, and then implementing some strategies that can gently challenge both the perfectionist mindset and the procrastination behavior. Again, none of these are quick fixes, but healthy habits you can implement and build over time. So, here are 5 healthy, constructive ways to manage your perfectionism and procrastination. 1. Embrace good enough. Challenge this mentality we all have, which comes from all or nothing. Unhealthy perfectionism thrives on belief that something is either perfect or worthless. This is rarely true, if not ever true. Reality is that good enough, or perfect for now, is good enough. So ask yourself, what would done look like, even if it is not completely perfect in your mind? So if you're doing a task, for example, if you are creating something, let's say if you are creating an art work, you are painting, when do you say you are done? And when do you say it is okay? And give yourself, if you're writing a book, for example, as I don't know if many of you have written books, but or reports or things like that, it never feels like done, right? You just keep going. But what would done look like? Even if it is flawless to you, so what is it that you are looking for? Ask yourself and give yourself permission for first drafts to be messy. So if you're doing something around the creative space, your first draft may look messy. But if you're doing something around the at work or at family or like in your home, just see what first few attempts look like. And when you catch the thought, oh, it has to be perfect, bring in this kind inner voice and challenge it. What if it were good as it is? What happens if this is as good as it gets? What impact would that actually have? And business leaders hate when I say this, but you might need to lower this impossible standard, reduce the fear that fuels procrastination. Standards are things which we created, and it was standard at a time to have a horse with a cart, and any person who was asked, what would you like? Higher standard, they would say, oh, we would like faster horses. Nobody thought about a four-wheel vehicle. So this is the kind of standards we set. We set some standards and then we increase the standards without realizing that there is another way, or without challenging ourselves and thinking, why is this standard a standard? So if there are things which you keep at high standard, and this doesn't apply to me as much because I don't keep that many high standard. I keep trying things, I keep just doing things. And it got to a point where in my life I was chasing these high standards, and over time it just felt like every time I saw the standard, every time I achieved something, I felt like, oh, that's not enough. There's another standard. And this constant chase kept us exhausted. So what is it that you are holding high standards to? Maybe ask yourself this. And what if you lower the standards? Who cares? And what is the problem if we achieve something which is slightly lower in quote unquote standards? So embrace good enough and challenge this all or nothing thinking is the first way. Second, break down tasks in a simple way and focus on the very first step. I know this is one which we have talked about. Everyone on the planet Earth has talked about this, but they haven't done it. Because if people have done it, then we wouldn't be still talking about it. Because the task, when we look at a task, let's say you want to write write you want to write a book. Let's say you write a book. What's the very first step? What's the very first step you can take if you want to write a book? So some people think, oh, I want to come up with a topic, I want to find ideas or things, and apparently the advice is many-fold. You find a topic, you write something. First step, in my opinion, is to open your laptop or open your book. That's your first step. Or your phone or whatever. And often people just jump into drafting a manuscript for a company before we take the first step, which is opening your word processing document, starting to write a few words, type a sentence, idea. So, breaking down these mammoth tasks into small tasks is what we are told, but we don't do it because what happens is when we start to do these little things, we feel like, oh, what is this? There's no point. And as we know that when we do these small tasks, it compounds, it adds on top of other. So imagine you write 50 words a day. And you'll be like, 50 words, that's easy. You start writing 50 words a day. You write it for a month. How many words is that? If you're good at maths, which I think I am okay at, is 1,500 words. Oh, no, 900 words. Okay, 50 words, 1,500. That's right, thank you. 1,500 words over 6 months is 9,000 words. So in 6 months, you have written almost half a book. And this is by writing 50 words a day. So that's the power of compounding, or power of small, tiny actions. And some days you will write more than 50 words because it's so easy. You'll be like, oh, I can do another. And over time, it looks amazing. So, first step is we are taking tiny step. Open document, write the heading, write one sentence, then just focus on completing that first single step. That's the perfectionist mindset. So for that one simple step, okay, how best can I do this? And often starting is the hardest part. Once you get started, the small step feels less daunting and this chips away. And the overwhelm of procrastination or perfectionism just becomes background. So that's number 2. Break down tasks and focus on the very first step. 3. Schedule imperfect progress. Now, this is an interesting one. Focus on starting, not finishing. So don't wait to feel like starting or for the conditions to be perfect. Schedule specific short times to work on the task. This is very task specific, so if it's not specific for you, you can just see what can be good for you in any circumstance. And short blocks of work, we talk about this very famous technique which is called the Pomodoro, which is like you keep a 20-minute alarm clock with you all the time when you work, and every time the alarm clock goes off after 20 minutes you take a 5-minute rest and then you get back to it. So but this is something different. Scheduling imperfect progress is the goal isn't to finish perfectly in that time, but to simply engage with that task however it suits you. So this creates different type of energy. It creates a momentum and counters the avoidance impulse. It also shifts your focus from terrifying finish line to the manageable process steps. Remember, done imperfectly is much, 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 much better than never have started at all. So 3 is schedule imperfect progress. 4, shift your focus from outcome to process and learning. And this is a bit more of it takes a bit more effort and a little bit more work, but we can do it. Often when we think about a task, we think about the outcome. And this is one of my biggest challenges is learning to move away from outcome to process and learning. So I've started to do yoga, and in yoga there are so many poses, so many things to learn, and I see all these amazing people doing amazing things, and I just want to get to the outcome. I just want to do my splits, I just want to do my headstand, I just want to do, but none of it I'm ready. I'm not even close to do anything. But in my head I'm like, oh, outcome, outcome, outcome. And that's the problem with our perfectionist mindset, is that we want to show off something which we have done so badly, and you're ready for it and you want to do it, but you're forgetting the most important aspect, which is joy in learning, joy in the process. So while you are doing the thing you are doing, how engaged you are, how much do you love it, how much do you feel it. And as this happens, we often fixate solely on the final aspects, the flawless outcome, making the possibility of error terrifying. So, understanding and learning to love mistakes, errors, as a way of showing yourself how much amazing you are for trying these things. And there's this example which often gets quoted, and like when when the lightning or light bulb was discovered by, who discovered the light bulb? I think it was Benjamin Franklin, incandescent light bulb. Yeah, there was a lot of failures, but apparently he said it was not failures, it was 10,000 different ways on how not to make a light bulb. So when you are encountering difficulties, you can think of it, this is something I've learned, so I don't need to go here. I can push away from this place. I can learn something from here and take it and implement it in here. Or this product is not suitable for me, or this idea doesn't work with me. How can I adapt it for my own self? So what skills? What skills? Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's Thomas Alva Edison. I think Benjamin Franklin was something else. Yeah, Edison said that light bulbs, 10,000 different ways. Absolutely. Really wonderful. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for correcting me. Yeah, so shifting your focus from this outcome and into process and learning. Now, the last aspect is, again, we don't go in these sessions without the mention of something to do with the self. So last one is practice fierce self-compassion. Both perfectionism and procrastination are often accompanied by this harsh inner critic. We judge ourselves for not being perfect, and then we judge ourselves again for procrastinating. This negative self talk only increases anxiety and makes it harder to break the cycle. So, self compassion, common humanity, understanding that we are all going through similar things, yet completely different. And when we set these impossible standards, which probably we didn't even decide what the standards are, or someone else's standards, we end up suffering. So, practicing self compassion, we know how to do that. I think it's very important in countering the perfectionist mindset, and to avoid a little bit of procrastination, and to be able to say that, okay, this is an energy balance issue. Now I need rest. I will be self compassionate about it. I will take this time to re energize. I don't need to keep doing this. I can take a pause. So these are the kind of questions we can ask ourselves to practice fierce self-compassion. And remind yourself that we are human, and this is all part of the process. None of us, well, we either can look at it two different ways. One way is we are all perfect, or another way is we are all imperfect. In this point, I will agree with this all or nothing thinking, because yes, we are either all beautiful as we are and we can do things which we want to do, or we are all in a different way and different and imperfect in whatever words you can use, but we can learn and grow. So you can look at it in this yin and yang, two sides of the same coin kind of framework, to help you find this common humanity within all of us. So these strategies aren't about being careless. Okay, this is not about abandoning quality and just focus on doing something and just keep doing it forever and ever and ever. No, they are about disentangling this healthy ambition from paralyzing the fear, the paralyzing fear that perfectionism creates. So yeah, and to avoid these patterns. So by embracing good enough, taking tiny steps, scheduling imperfect action, focusing on the journey, and being kind to yourself, you dismantle the power of this challenging duo, perfectionism and procrastination. You free up mental and emotional energy. You reduce anxiety and stress. So remember, this is a practice, not a perfect achievement. Again, this is not something, it's not a perfect delivery of a talk. It is just something which I wish I knew when I started, and I wish a lot more people started to understand, so that they can thrive and have a life that is so beautiful and be there for this beautiful existence of life, one imperfect step at a time. So to support you into integrating these things into your mind and your body, I invite you for a little bit of a practice. So you can close your eyes and let's just do a short meditation. Find a comfortable position where you can get completely relaxed. Maybe you are excited after this talk, maybe you are ready to change things, but yeah, take that energy, take whatever is here, you can sit with it or lie down. If it feels comfortable, gently close your eyes, or you can soften your gaze and bring your awareness to your breath. You're just simply noticing the air moving in and out of your body. No need to change it, just observing the natural rhythm, allowing your attention to settle in your body, noticing any physical sensations, perhaps tension or ease, without needing to change anything, just noticing. Now gently bring to mind the feelings or thoughts that sometimes arise around tasks or projects or things you want to do in life. Maybe a hint of pressure to be perfect, or the urge to put something off, procrastinate. Just notice these thoughts or feelings if they are present, like clouds floating in the sky. Acknowledge them with a sense of kindness and curiosity. There is the thought about needing to be perfect. There is this feeling of wanting to avoid this situation right now. And knowing that you don't need to engage with the story, just need to notice it, notice the feeling itself, and just notice and stay in this. Now bring your awareness back to your breath, feeling the anchor of this present moment. You are here, breathing right now. The past is gone, the future is not here. There is just this breath, just this moment. And as you breathe out, imagining releasing any pressure, any need for things to be other than the way they are right now. As you breathe in, imagine inviting a sense of kindness towards yourself, towards your efforts, towards your imperfections. Repeating silently to yourself, I am enough, even when things seem imperfect. I can take one small step. I am kind to myself. I am enough when things seem imperfect. I can take one small step, and I am kind to myself. Let those words deeply resonate. Let it vibrate in your body. I am enough, even when things are imperfect. I can take one small step. I am kind to myself. Feel the gentle support of your body, the rhythm of your breath resting here, just as you are, perfect in your imperfection. Now gently bring your awareness back to the space around you, wiggling your fingers and toes, taking a slightly deeper breath. And in the out breath, simply open your eyes, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Just move your body a little bit. Bring all that energy back into yourself. Welcome back. So, I hope that simple practice offered you a moment of peace and a gentle reminder that all of this is beautiful. All of you is beautiful. Gentle reminder of your inherent worthiness are separate from your achievements. And achievements are not bad thing. It's just not who you are. So let's just revisit what we discussed. So we discussed unhealthy perfectionism, procrastination are often linked with the fear of imperfection fueling avoidance. We understood what perfectionism is and what procrastination is. We started to understand how to break the cycle, and we understood 5 healthy management strategies and the impact it has on you. So remember, managing this dynamic duo of perfectionism and procrastination is a journey of self-discovery and self-compassion. So be patient with yourself, celebrate the small steps. You have the capacity to move forward, embracing the process and learning to thrive, not despite your perceived imperfections, but because of them. Those are the things which are unique to you and that you need to pay more attention to. Maybe the reason you are late always is because you are very interested in a lot of people's lives. Maybe the reason you are not able to focus on one thing because your energy requires a lot more other things. You are far bigger than what you think. So thank you for joining me today in this daily practice with Nikhil session. And if this resonated with you, please consider following and coming back for more. Until next time, keep taking these brave, imperfect steps forward. Thank you.